Kind of fun.
Are we going to give this another go?
Oh, try again. I've just said, like, if it doesn't work, you'll have to reschedule something. Saturdays are really temperamental, and a few people, after you cut out, everyone was like, they've had problems with Zoom and whatnot. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I can't remember where we even got to.
So we were talking about
Orange,
obviously we were talking about the crotch leather pants that obviously Take That used to do.
And then you cut out. It was like Instagram didn't want to hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you do whatever you do to promote in the early days. It is a cutthroat business, and you kind of learn as you go along to promote your song, because you got to give the audience what they want, and you got to move on to the next step.
Yeah. How do you feel like what I did say before I think you cut off is like the amount of singles that you sold and albums in retrospect of today, when you think like Ed Sheeran sold a billion and this and billion, but they're not singles that people are going out and buying in a shop. With your music, it was a case of people had to go to the shop and buy it.
It's a whole different ball game. I mean, we used to sell 100,000 units a week to stay in the top 5. And now you can stream now. You can get in the top 5 now with on a quiet week with 7,000 hits, so 7,000 singles. So it's a whole different ball game. And to be honest, it's a learning curve for us again now, because the music business is completely different to the way it used to be. When we were doing HMV signings, and stuff like that was the way it was. It contributed towards your units being sold. Whereas now we're still having problems now trying to figure out how the streaming system happens, because obviously there's thousands of people still streaming #1 hits, but at the same time you're streaming it for free on Spotify, or you're doing it whatever, you know what I mean? So it's a whole new business for us again. We're now having to learn about it all. But you're right, it's nowhere near what it was like in the old days.
And I think it's a shame. It's got rid of the buzz for me personally. I used to love getting really excited listening to what #1 was, because you've been out and supported your artist, or you listen to like Dr. Fox, you kind of thing in the radio, and it'd be like #5, and you'd be like, oh my God. And he goes, and it would count all the way down. It was like New Year's Eve. It was that exciting. Whereas now, I have absolutely no idea who is #1, and to be honest, I don't really care.
I think that's the attitude of most people, is that nobody really cares. But you're right. In the old days, we used to get like a phone call from the main distributor in the midweek to see where your midweek chart was. And then if you were close to the top 3, Dr. Fox would ring and go, listen, I'm going to ring you guys to give you the placement of where you were in the charts. And we'd be all like, okay, with the rep company going mental. But I just don't think people care anymore. It's like,
it's a shame.
Maybe they got better things to do. I don't know. But people don't really care about the charts anymore.
No, it's a shame, because I think it's something.
It is,
we've got the top of the pops. Again, it was like they'd always show you the new release, and then it was almost like all these pops. You all lived in this building, and you just performed when they needed you, and it was watching it. That's what it was like. It was like, it'd be, I don't know, like Steps, and they'd be like, brilliant, that was Steps, and now over to 911 with The Journey. Whoosh, like this, it was amazing. It was like pop party paradise for everybody.
It was crazy times. I mean, it was filmed in Elstree, next door to where the EastEnders set is. And we used to go into the restaurant catering, and Barbara Windsor being there, and all the cast of EastEnders, and we'd all catch up, and they'd be doing some filming bits, and then I was the same when we did Top of the Pops, and we were lucky enough to do it many times. But I turned up and suddenly Blackstreet were on the same as us, and I was just like, whoa, because I mean I'd looked up to Blackstreet for years, But I wouldn't go in the changing room and say hello. I was too scared. I was like,
that's actually one of the questions someone's asked. Someone said, because some people put in questions. Someone said, have you ever been starstruck? If so, who was your most starstruck person you met?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I would say it's probably Blackstreet were probably, because it was very early days, one of our first ever Top of the Pops. I remember going to an awards show. I was on my own for some reason, and a guy that I was with introduced me to he said, "Oh, I want to introduce you to this guy." And I'm kind of like talking to somebody, and I turned round, and it was like Lionel Richie stood in front of me because he was playing on the night, and I was like, "All right, Lionel." I didn't have a clue what to say. I was just like,
Yeah.
so
Feeling. Great
yeah,
special.
we were the same as most people for big people that we'd always looked up to. We couldn't quite believe that we were doing Top of the Pops, or quite believe that we were performing on the same stage as some of these people. So it was never taken, blasé. We were three northern blokes that couldn't believe we were in the position we were in. We worked hard. We knew that.
Because when you do hit it, and you get you hit the big time. Like obviously the Night to Remember, obviously you're coming out with, and Love Sensation, but when it then suddenly it rolls and you're off with it, I suppose it must be quite weird thinking, wow, what happened to the Working Men's Club? Like, how are we now, at this awards ceremony? It's
yeah. I mean, we even from a traveling point of view, I remember, I think we'd done the Brits or something. We'd gone to the Brits, and then we had to fly off to somewhere like Norway or something. And then we came back, did some massive awards ceremony in Scotland, and then had to get a private plane down to the south of England to film the video to Don't Make Me Wait, which was in a place called Buckfastleigh down in Devon. And it was crazy times, but you couldn't complain. It was the life we wanted, and it's the life we got.
Yeah. I suppose it's like you say, 23-hour days, and then you sleep as best as you can, and you're up again. One thing I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I do have a bit of a guilty pleasure with a song you released, not with 911, but Up
Street.
I really liked that song. The one, and again, what really pissed me off is that they do this thing where they're like, oh, and entered the chart at a miserable 35. But at the same time, I'm like, it's 35. Like, it's not number one, but it's still. I thought it was a good song. I have it on in my car still.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, for anybody that read some of the media behind it, it was always an experiment. It was never going to be. It was never going to be a band, because Danny, who I'm very good friends with now, still lives in Miami. And obviously he's been back doing New Kids stuff now. He lives in Dubai, and I still see Bradley every now and then. Still bump into Lee. And it's one of those things where it was an experiment. It was a bit like before the reality stuff kicked off. It was like, this is what life's like when you're trying to, write a song. This is what it's like to live together. This is, it was based on a reality show. So, and I mean, to write a song and then kind of go, it was number 35 in an experiment, I think was pretty good. I mean, we enjoyed it anyway.
I listened to your solo album, fun enough. After I would like to confirm we're doing this, I was like, because I hadn't listened to it, and I was like, I didn't. To be honest, I didn't. I don't like lying and being like blowing smoke up someone's ass. I didn't know. Listen to it. I was really impressed, and I'm not going to lie. Your first track, I don't know if this is what was meant to be. I thought that which one was it? Worth
it, yeah.
It's kind of got a country vibe to it.
It was meant to be. We kind of wanted to do something just a little bit different from the pop.
Yeah.
And we initially went with a kind of acoustic, but a slight tinge of country.
Yeah.
Because we were
good.
very much sitting there going, right, do we really want to go down that kind of pop route? In all honesty, I wanted to go down the R&B route, but it's a fine line when you're, from a pop group to then want to go kind of R&B. And my influences throughout my life have been R&B, like Blackstreet and Luther Vandross and Smokey Robinson, all that kind of stuff that a guy in a pop band probably looks like he shouldn't be following.
Which again, who's to say what you want to do? And I did listen to it all the way through, and I liked that. And there was another one about blue. It was blue ain't your colour. Blue
ain't your colour. Yeah, it's actually a cover version of a track. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, all them songs came about because they were songs that we'd written. Because obviously I've been writing for other artists, and they were songs that I'd written, and we kind of got them and went, doesn't quite fit the artist we're writing for, but
Yeah.
let's just kind of keep it in a little pot. And it got to the point where I had so many that I was kind of thinking, these are just going to waste, so let's just kind of put them out there. And that's why we did it.
You know what's nice? One thing I've got to ask you. So my other half's dad is obsessed with a certain. I think he's watching. He's obsessed with this person, and he said to me, you're chatting to Jimmy from 911." I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You need to ask him something." And I was like, my other half's dad. I was like, "What is this going to be?" And he said to me, "I think, if I'm correct, that the person he loves, his daughter was one of your backing dancers." Do you know how I'm on about?
Let me follow this. So he loves
the artist.
Yeah.
The artist's daughter was one of your backing dancers, or was a backing dancer, and her dad's really famous.
Yes, I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, he's literally that's it. Ad Sparrow, Andrew, his name is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Shakin' Stevens.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Did she say that? She's like, my dad's Shakin' Stevens. Can I come and dance with you?
No. It was really bizarre. It was like because for anybody that has kind of read, any of my backing information from when I was very young, when I was 9 years old, I won a talent contest being Shakin' Stevens. So I was a massive fan, massive.
Wow.
And I
so meeting her, you were like,
well, I didn't know. We were in rehearsals. Obviously, we kind of employed like a dance company.
Yeah.
And they brought in their dancers and nobody told me. Nobody said anything. It was only the fact that you kind of, after a couple of weeks, you start to talk to people and get to know them more.
Yeah.
And so I think somebody must have read an interview or something that obviously when I was younger, I was a massive Shakin' Stevens fan, and they came up to me and went, "I know you were a Shaky fan. That's his daughter." And I was like, "Shut up." And I literally just went over and went, "Are you Shaky's daughter?" And she was like, yeah. And I was like, "Shut up,
Oh,
and I couldn't believe it. I was just like,
did you get to meet him? Did you get to meet him and stuff?
Well, when did I meet? I met him when he did a tour with his old band called the Sunsets, for anybody that knows Shaky.
Right.
And I met him briefly then. But then when we did the big reunion, we did a Christmas tour and we covered a Shaky song. And I messaged him and said, "Listen," because he knew I was a big fan, and we were kind of chatting on Twitter anyway. And I said, "Listen, we're doing this Christmas show. Do you fancy coming on stage on the big reunion tour and singing the other half of your Christmas song?" And it wasn't for the fact that I think he was on tour or he couldn't do it anyway. But talk about like small world and coincidences is like, I was like a massive fan at 9 years old.
And weirdly, Anna is in the chat, i.e. Lolly, as in, "Hey, me, she's watching," and she's just said, okay. I went to dance. What does it say? I went to dance college with her.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a small world, isn't it?
Yeah. What was the big reunion like? I mean, I watched it. I was there. It was brilliant. I thought it was amazing. What was it like for you doing it? Was it like seeing your old friends again and being like, right, let's just lap this up, have a laugh?
Yeah. Bearing in mind, we hadn't kind of been out in the major public eye for quite a long time when the big reunion came along. And when they said, "Oh, by the way, we're all going to be traveling together on the tour bus." Now, obviously, from this point of view, obviously Lindsay, who was in Bewitched, used to be married to Lee, but they'd split up by then. So they were on the tour with us, obviously. So we were all on the bus. So the amount of kind of stories that we could catch up on and people that we all knew and stuff. I mean, there's an episode on the big reunion where it says that Lindsay was sat behind Lee on the bus, and they were just filming everything. And obviously Lee never knew that she was there, and we'd done a show in Liverpool, and he didn't come in until 9 o'clock the next morning after the show. So he's kind of chatting to the camera and he's going, "Yeah, I think I'm still drunk from the night before. I went to somebody's flat till about 9 in the morning." And Lindsay popped her head round and she was like, "What?" And it wasn't a big deal, but it was just, that's the kind of life it was like on the tour bus. It was just crazy. But great times.
Yeah, it was brilliant. The show was amazing. And do you know what? It's just what, and unfortunately, that isn't going to happen in another 30 years with the music today. I
Yeah,
can't see it happen. I mean, you look now, I don't know if I'm just biased, but like the 90s and the early noughties, when you had like the pop princesses and the boy bands and the girl bands, and the fact that you could put that concert together. And what was really lovely, there was no negativity towards any of the other bands. It wasn't like,
no.
you know, um, Five came out and everyone was like, boo, we're not fans of Five. It was like, support Five, support Atomic Kitten, support the Honeys, support Bewitched, support Liberty X. And seeing your stories, yes, it was edited, but it was like everyone was like living their like university, school, college life again, which it was
And
brilliant.
that was the whole concept and the whole point of doing it, because we've all known each other since doing Smash It's Pole Winners parties back in the early 90s. So there's never been any bad blood between any of the bands. We all get on anyway. We all have a laugh. And that's why. Yeah, I suppose there's an element of like, there's an element of like chart, positions and blah 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 back in the day. But at the end of the day, you never really saw them because you were too busy, on your promo trip. You might kind of say hello, on a radio on road show, and go, how you doing, blah blah, everything good? Yeah, we got to go. We're flying to blah blah blah, and they'd be flying off somewhere else, and that's the life it was in the 90s.
Yeah, we're just going. Yeah. It's mad. So what's obviously now, like I've got questions for you that people have asked, but you've been doing, and again, amazing, that working for the NHS as are you like ambulance driver? Is that right?
Yeah, that was a bit weird, really. When we finished when we were in the middle of the tour, we kind of just basically obviously had to stop everything. There's a guy called Tony who's been our tour manager for 8 years. He owns this ambulance company anyway, and we were chatting about different tours and blah blah blah. And I was like, you know what, I can't do anything anyway. I'm not going to be able to go back to work, so I'll just come down and help you. So it's been amazing. It's been an eye opener. I've had to do the training like everybody else, but just been kind of driving ambulances around and picking up patients and being on the front line basically. It's been brilliant.
Have you had anyone go, hang on a minute, I know you?
Yeah. It's been a bit strange. Obviously, there's been a couple of times where the nurses in the wards, you've got a mask on, but they're like, and obviously there was a bit of media around when it first happened as well.
Yes.
So a lot of the nurses knew anyway. So we've had the nurses, we've had some patients. I've just turned, we've had to what they call a carry chair, where you carry them upstairs and blah blah. And it's
I bet because they can't walk, they're like, you're gonna have to carry me to the bedroom. You're like, you can walk on this hill.
I think what it is, you just gotta have a laugh with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They knew that it was a situation where, rather than sit at home and do nothing, I'd just rather be out doing something. You know what I mean? So
that's off to you. Like, I think this whole thing has caused people to like I don't know if you've seen my Instagram, but Christmas, I dressed up as an elf with a friend and did elf visits to kids. And although, 36-year-old guy wearing green tights with pointy ears, but seeing the kids' faces and seeing the parents crying because they're like, Christmas has been ruined, actually, and you really did my kid up. It's worth it. I think everyone has had to pull together,
that's what it's all about. It's about being, just being thankful that you can still do stuff, but also at the same time putting smiles on faces, and the opportunity where we've taken patients home, and they never thought they were going to see them again because of they weren't allowed to go into the hospitals to visit people, and some of them were like ill and all the rest of it. And it's just like, it's just for them to kind of turn around and go, a lot of them didn't know who I was, but I wasn't interested in that. I was just,
and you weren't doing that. You weren't not like, oh, I'm gonna. Do you know what I mean? Do you know
there was more satisfaction knowing that they didn't know, but at the same time they turned around and went, listen, I can't thank you enough for getting my dad home, or blah blah blah, or whatever it is, And I'll never complain about my job again. Not that I ever did, but these people that do this job, 24/7. the nurses, the doctors, ambulance crews or whatever, and you just think, that is one insane job to do, and they don't get rewarded like they should do.
No, and the abuse they get, the fact it annoys me. It really winds me up when I go to dentist surgeries or doctors or hospitals or whatever, and there's a sign that says staff will not tolerate any abuse. And I'm like, the fact you even have to say that, it's disgusting. I expect it in a nightclub, but you're going somewhere where you're wanting someone to help you and you're kicking off. I understand there's wait times, but we're lucky enough that we've got the NHS, which again, in America, people have to pay to have. We talked about it today, me and my friend. People have to pay to have kids. Here, like, just pop one out on the way to McDonald's.
But just medical in general. You have to pay a fortune in America. We take it for granted the fact that if you break your arm, you ring an ambulance is going to be here in a couple of hours. Take you home and get it done.
Yeah.
In America, you'd be like, well, they won't even entertain you unless you've got insurance.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, then you better get your checkbook out.
They're like, do we eat this week, or does little Lily get her leg fixed?
Exactly.
Is that? Well, look, mate, you've got a couple of questions. So it says, the Shakin' Stevens one you've already answered. Laura says, what has been your favourite show or experience you had during 911 or any of your singing career? A show that you did or awards or that you were like, that was brilliant, like highlight?
I would say probably we did very well here in Europe, but Asia was a massive market for us.
Huge.
And we did a football stadium in Singapore, 60,000 people, and to stand on a stage and not have to sing a word, just point the mic out, and they knew every word, and it was just, that's one of the kind of hairs on the back of the neck. And I think one of the other main ones for us was when we started 911 and we had nothing. We sat around a table and said our ultimate dream was to do Wembley Arena. And on our very first tour, I know we don't do Wembley Arena now, but we had Wembley Arena then. And before they let any crowd in, the three of us just stood on the stage and looked out and went, do you remember that conversation we had around the coffee table?
Wow, that's an amazing thing to remember.
And it was just incredible. It was just so emotional, and just like all that hard work that we did and that dream that we wanted. This is it.
Like almost like who's laughing now? Like, look, all this, the working men's clubs, that's amazing. Cincinnati_3 says, were there any collaborations that you wish you'd have had in 911? Anyone you would like to have collaborated with, or talks that there was going to be a collaboration of something?
Collaborations were never really a big thing back then. I know obviously the likes of later on Blue started doing them with Eternal with BB Winans. I don't know. I think a lot of it as well was whether the record company that was the direction they wanted to go and all the rest of it. I think if I had a choice and I could do one, probably back then would have been somebody like Luther Vandross. But then you'd be sitting there going, well, he's just sang that. I'm not going next. So
you take the lead, man. It's cool.
Why don't you just do it all?
I'll just dance, won't you? Have you do you ever think this? I don't know. It says, do you ever think about how things would be if 911 started today, in consideration to obviously when you started in the 90s? Do you often think, God, what? Because only from personal experience, I was on a little mini tour when I was 19, 20, and I wish there was Facebook then. And like, I've got some dodgy old brick as a video camera that I've got some footage of our tour bus and some of the stuff we got up to in the travel lodges and things. But I wish Facebook had been around so we had more pictures and more videos and things like that. Do you ever think that? Do you think, I wish things had developed more, or are you glad it was more stripped back on what it was?
I think you're right in the way that I think, I wish I'd filmed more, took more pictures of life, what it was, because we were like just on the go all the time. And I think as well, what would have been nice was the fact that, in the old days, we used to have to print posters and print flyers for people to know where we were. Whereas now you can have tens of hundreds of thousands of people knowing where you are within seconds.
Push of a button.
We used to have to pay, a poster company to fly post, all around the country at certain times or whatever, but yeah, I suppose things like that you would like to have known different, just so. But then there is that element of going, well, do you know what? It took a lot of hard work. Well, at least we can look back and go, yes, we did all the hard work. We didn't get it on a plate whatsoever.
No, you appreciate it more. The gigs you do get now.
Yeah.
I think someone said earlier, I remember calling a premium rate chat line to find out where you were. So they're right.
Crazy, isn't it?
There's a couple of things that people have said. So it's can Jimmy say happy birthday to my daughter? She's 11 today, from her mum.
Have we got a name?
Have you got a name for your daughter, Kate? Or Kat? Kat Jeff? Kat Jeff's daughter.
Kat Jeff. Hello, Kat Jeff's daughter. Going to be 11.
Hey.
God, I wish I could be 11 again. Jesus. So long ago.
And another question is, are you about to release some new music at any point? You'd be writing in your ambulance.
Yeah. I think obviously, from a 911 point of view, we've got obviously a lot of tours to get on with at the minute because, there's too many tours that have been cancelled that have to be put back in at some point for us to kind of sit down and go, right, let's look about some music. The only good thing we've got going is that, it's our 25-year anniversary. So we were contemplating, obviously, a major tour, which would be a bit like an evening with. So we would kind of be on stage and people could ask questions and we play some old videos and a bit like this, really, talk about the old days and, people could ask questions about.
I think it'd be a bit more personal as well. I think you might have to vet some of the questions because it'll be like.
Yeah, we don't care. Yeah. I think, we went to, myself and my wife went to Ronan and the boys' last shows at Palladium. And it was quite sad, really, because, obviously they were splitting up after, their years. Yeah. But they had an idea as well. They had, for anyone that went, they had I think she was a radio interview, but they had somebody on stage asking questions and talking about the old days and stuff. And it was a great way of people going, oh yeah, I remember that video. I never realized it was made here, or we did this happened, and some funny stories might come out of it and stuff. So I think we're definitely going to look at that. Whether it be, I reckon, it's probably going to be next year now. Yeah,
that'd be brilliant. That's what's been nice doing these, because I think you really want it to be like an interview. Like, so is it true? Back in 19, I just like having a bit of a chat, and it's been really warming speaking to various people and the funny stories that have come out. Like last week I was chatting to, week before last was Melissa Graham from Solid Harmony, who, funnily enough, has gone into the medical route and doing, ambulance technician of this. And she was saying about like a video. She was like, well, actually this video, I was so ill and I was being, I was really ill and I went to hospital. And it's just them stories that make you go, make a headline, but it just makes you kind of go, oh my God, how amazing is that? Like, it's nice.
That's what makes, that's what makes interviews, I believe they should be very much laid back like this, just have a chat about whatever, because, those kind of interviews, people can read those interviews in magazines 20 years ago, same old questions. So when people want to know what your real reaction and what your natural reaction was to something that happened, they'll get an element of the fact as, I didn't know that, but also there's an element of just genuine kind of truth in it. We can all have a laugh. I mean, I don't think we've ever, we've never turned around to somebody and gone, oh, don't ask about this. It's like, we don't care. You can ask whatever you like. I'll give you an honest answer. If you don't like it, then that's the way it is.
Yeah, you can ask us what you want, but be prepared. The answer you're going to get is exactly, it will be the response that you want.
I'll always try and be nice. But the point is, if you want to ask me a question, just ask it. Because if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, I think it's just respect as well. Well, mate, I've got to say, with the issues with the Wi-Fi and stuff, I really do appreciate, like, you and any person I've spoken to, it's your time. I know, like, so you're a busy man with your work and stuff and your family. Are you in Cambridgeshire? Is that right?
Cambridgeshire, yeah.
So I do really appreciate it. And at the talking of questions, at the very end, I do a this or that, which I don't know if you've seen. Okay. So there's 10. So literally, you've got to pick one or the other. Some reason, some. Okay. Cool. So sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Top of the Pops or smash hits?
Oh. I'm going to have to go Top of the Pops.
Yeah. More Than a Woman or Night to Remember?
Night to Remember.
Oh, cool. Nice. Marmite, Love it, hate it?
No, absolutely not. That's disgusting.
Really, mate?
Disgusting.
You're not a
Whoever invented that needs shooting.
No, it's on crumpets. It's really nice.
Oh.
You're like, no, in the bin. Musicals. Would you go and watch a musical or more of like a play, straight play?
Oh, musical all day long.
What's your favourite musical?
I did quite enjoy Dirty Dancing.
Really?
That was a really good musical. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, I like musicals.
Football or dance?
Football all day long.
Me too. I'm joking. Seriously, like, do you know, it's hilarious. But my dad, bless him, he's not around anymore. Years ago, like I must have been like 6 or 7. He'd be like, I obviously wanted to sing and dance and things. And my dad was great, but I think there's a part of him that was a bit shattered that his only son was very like, wanted to be prancing around. And we got to do a performance in the middle of ITFC football ground for the halftime entertainment. And I was like, Dad, you see? Finally on a pitch, but I was prancing about. So
I'm sure he was very proud anyway.
Kebab. Yeah, hopefully. Kebab or a burger?
Dirty kebab after a pint. Yeah.
Oh, Doner kebab, can't miss them. The 80s or the 90s?
90s all day long.
Letting him go on that answer. So, yeah, what is your best piece of advice or the thing you live by? Go.
If you work hard, you can achieve it. I know it's very cliche, but you know, we were very. At least we tried. If we do make it, then we'll know that we made it with hard work. Don't expect people to give you it on a plate. Basically, it's going to take hard work and just believe in your dreams. I know it's really, you know, it's one of those sayings, but it is. If you believe that you've worked hard enough and you deserve it, then just go for it. Don't care what other people say.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that, you know, kind of said to us, "Are you mad? You want to be in a boy band? You'll never make it in a boy band." But we believed in what we were doing, so we went ahead and did it. And you know, thankfully,
you had that moment. You know, you had that moment on Wembley stage, which has gone. You know, now is you've got that forever. Do you know what I mean? That's amazing.
And that's I mean, that you said it exactly. You know, people can't take their memories away from you, and they'll always kind of live with me. So, but believe in your dreams. I know it's really cliche, but it's true. You just got to fight for it.
No. Well, it could have been an NHS message. It could have been like, wear a mask from your training.
That as well, I guess, yeah.
We'll put that at the end or something.
Yeah.
No, Jim, honestly, Jimmy, thank you so much for this. You are the first. I've messaged several different, some people I've worked with in a long roundabout way, some people that I've idolised and I've grown up listening to, and you are the first boy band member that's got back to me and said, yeah, I'll chat to you. I've chatted to so many girl band members. And I was just like, is it me? Is it like they just don't want to talk to? So honestly, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and everyone that's joined. You've been an absolute pleasure to talk to, mate. Really.
You're very welcome, mate. Honestly, good luck with it all. Hope you get all the people you want to speak to.
Yeah. Do you know Brittany?
Not directly.
All right, mate. Honestly, well, look, have an amazing rest of your evening, what is left. And thanks ever so much again. I really appreciate it, buddy.
All right, mate. Take it easy. See you later.
See you later, bud. Bye.